Hey guys, welcome back to another HTML tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be talking about the different types of inputs, how to use them in HTML, and then how to actually get their data in JavaScript. So what I'm just going to do is create a new folder, just going to call it inputs, and it's actually a lot of different types of inputs, so I'm not going to be covering all of them in this video. But I'm going to be covering like a few of the basic ones. So yeah, so let's just link a script.js since we're probably going to need that, and I'm also going to add a defer key tag so that we can load our objects in HTML first, and then the JavaScript is going to be run. So let's just call that as well. So now that we have that, we can just go here and I can actually start showing you the inputs. So the first input is probably the most basic one, and it's actually just the button. So if we go to input, just type in the input tag, and we can just make it type button, and you see that there's a button here, and it doesn't actually have any text in it, so we can give it a value. What I can do is just add a new thing and make it value equals to click me, and now you can see that it comes up. And one thing about the button is that it will actually, if you don't actually apply any CSS styles, it's going to appear differently on different browsers. So here I have a regular button, but if I go over to Google Chrome and then go over to this thing and go to inputs, you can see that the button actually looks slightly different on Google Chrome and Safari. So that's one thing to be aware of, and it's actually like the same with all inputs. You want to make sure that you actually you want to make sure that you have the correct input, the correct CSS styles for your input. I'm just going to use Google Chrome because I think it looks a bit nicer, but you need to make sure that if you want it to actually be a nice button, you need to synchronize it across different browsers, so you need to give it custom CSS properties. But yeah, we can do that later, not in this video, but in a later tutorial. So that's a basic button, and I'll cover how to access its click feature in JavaScript later, but for now I'm actually just going to talk about another type of input, which is which is the input type text. So if we just do that, and then it's actually type text equals by default, and then you can see we've actually got a text thing here. So if we wanted to create a line break, you just add a br tag and that'll create a line break. I'm just going to leave it like this, and obviously you can have CSS styles on this. Like if we give us an ID of text box and then go over to here, create some styles, and then just reference this text box object, we can actually change its width. So let's say we want it to be like 300 pixels, you can see that gets bigger there. But yeah, they're basically just subclasses of the div, just like most other things in HTML. So now I'm actually going to explain how to get the data from this and this button click in JavaScript. So what you want to do is link a script.js, or you can just do it up here, and then once you're in there, you actually need to grab the element. So you can do document.getElement by ID, and you'll see we actually need to specify an ID so that we can get it from the DOM. So here we've already given this an ID, and let's just give this button an ID of a button. We can just do that. So first let's get the button click and get element by ID.button, and then we can do an on click callback, and then we specify our callback using arrow functions, and then inside of it we can just do whatever code we want to run when it's clicked. So let's just call button was clicked. And now if I go to the console, and let me just make that a bit bigger, so you can see that it actually gets executed whenever we click on this button. So that's nice. And then for the text, we can actually get the data of the text. So what I'm actually going to do is create an object up here. I'm just going to call this const text box equal to document.getElement by ID, and this is just text box like we created over here, and we can leave that over there. And then when we go into here, we can actually just get the text box text is equal to text box dot, and then we can do something like value. So and it's not actually going to come in autocomplete because the autocomplete is only for HTML base class elements, whereas we want to get it with a text box, which is an input type text. So what it's actually going to do is we can, just like the button, specify a value, and let's just say some default value, and you can see this actually appears in here, and then I can edit that like this. But yeah, it has a value property, and by default it's just nothing, so we can access that, and then we can just console.log console.log to text box text was, and then we can just use string concatenation, just put that there. So if we just say here is some text, click this, and you can see that we actually get the text just like that, nice and simple. So yeah, and now I'm just going to show you one more input which I think is quite cool. It's just the color input. So I'm just going to create a new line, or not new line but new thing. I'm going to call it input type color, and you can see that when we do that we actually get a special thing, just a color picker. And just like all the other ones, this also has a value element, and I think you can pretty much do anything, but I'm just going to give a hex. So let's just give a color red, and let's give it an ID of color picker. And then what we can do is we can like select our color, and inside the button let's just create reference to the color picker over here, got element by, and then color picker, and then we can get the color equals color picker dot value, and then console.log the selected color is, and then we just do the color like that. So once we've done that, let's just select cool color. I'm just going to do something like blue, and let's just say selected blue. So when we click this, you can see that the text box text was selected blue like that, and the selected color is 07B FF, which is just like this color which you see here. So yeah, those were the basic input types. And what you need to remember is that you can usually always just refer to the value property, and it should give you the value of the input. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in a future tutorial. Bye.